I have got 10 fragrances that are fresh, citrus, aquatic. They're perfect for the kind of weather we've been having here where I live, where it's been plus 90 degrees pretty much every day. And during this time of the year, I reach for those things that are refreshing, that put me in a good mood, that matches kind of the sunshine outside. And so I do have in this list 5 originals made by designer houses. And then I've got 5 that are inspired by other fragrances. They smell quite a bit like something else. So we're going to get into this list, but before we do, remember to subscribe if you haven't done that yet. Also, let me know down in the comments, what would you add to the list? And consider giving the video a like if you like it. So first up, this is one by John Varvatos that's gotten a lot of hype. A lot of people love it, and I think for very good reason. This is Artisan Pure. And it is a citrus aromatic fragrance. You've got some grapefruit and lemon, this sort of bright, zesty opening. Not a lot of sweetness, more just fresh citrus. And then you go down into the heart where you've got an herbal and even a green heart. So sort of a green aromatic heart. And then in the base, you've got a little bit of woodiness. I think there's some vetiver in there, some musk. And so it's a really good fragrance. It is unique whenever you look at sort of the sea of summer fragrances out there. This one, there's a reason so many people love it. All right, next. This one also is very unique. This one is by Lacoste. And a lot of their fragrances have very good prices, and they make some really good stuff. This one is Lacoste L'Homme Intense. And one of the reasons it's unique is because it's very similar to a blue fragrance, but there is a sweet orange in the opening. There's just an orange note, there's a mandarin orange note, and there is some rhubarb. There's even a note called quince, which I think is some sort of an herb, but I really don't know. But it gives it this orange rhubarb opening. And then you go down into sort of a woody, kind of amber wood, kind of ambroxan kind of a base, a lot like a blue fragrance. If you don't like rhubarb, stay clear of this one. But if you're up for something different, something interesting, this one right here, Lacoste L'Homme Intense, works really great for me in this kind of weather. All right, next. This is a new one from the house of Zoha. I don't think I have yet seen a one that's an inspiration of Xerjoff Torino 21. And this one is. It's called Mystic Mint and Citrus. And the Xerjoff that this one smells quite a bit like is known for this sort of fresh garden mint opening, and this one totally has that, like you literally pick mint out of your garden, like I have right outside the window here. And then of course there is a good dose of citrus. This is a very refreshing fragrance. This is the one that my wife smelled and said, oh, it smells like a spa, like you just walked into a spa or massage parlor. Very much agree, that is what this one smells like. Very refreshing, citrus with some very nice mint in the opening. All right, next, this is one that's kind of a super cheapie. It is a designer, it's an original, although there are some comparisons made to some other fragrances that are similar. This is Jimmy Choo Man Ice. And this one gives you kind of like an iced lemonade vibe. Really, to me, it's lemonade plus a splash of orange. There is a discernible orange note in here, and that's most of what the fragrance is. A very refreshing, a little more sweetness than some of the others that I mentioned. Lemonade with a splash of orange. But then there is a musk in the base that I often wonder, does it actually have vetiver, or is this just a musk that gives it a little bit of a green feel? There is sort of a vetiver-like grassy greenness, not too dissimilar from what you'd find in Elysium, but it's just not as strong. But anyway, beautiful citrus with a touch of muskiness and a touch of greenness. Very good stuff, super refreshing. Okay, this next one is also a designer. Now, this is a little 1 ounce bottle because this is all I needed, and I think I got this for like less than $30. So this is Missoni Pour Homme Parfum, I believe is what this one's called, just Missoni Parfum. And a lot of people say it reminds them of Bleu de Chanel because it does have in the opening kind of a grapefruit, ginger, sort of citrus with a little bit of fresh spice in there. And then you've got a birch note that's a little bit similar to that incense that you have in Bleu de Chanel. It's very much in the style of Bleu de Chanel. It does remind me of like a high quality soap in the same way that Bleu de Chanel does. Again, Missoni Parfum. All right, and next, this one is also from Missoni, but it's quite a bit different than the one that I just showed you. This one is a lighter, fresher, vibrant. This is absolutely an everyday, any situation fragrance, but I think it really shines in the heat. I'm talking, of course, about Missoni Wave. And this is an aquatic, fresh, spicy fragrance. It does have a good dose of lemon in the opening, as well as some grapefruit and some other citruses. But then you've got a little bit of a fresh spiciness, a little bit of an herbaceous quality, and a good dose of aquatic notes, or I think maybe what they call marine notes. But it's basically just a refreshing aquatic fragrance with a little bit of that fresh spiciness and a good dose of citrus at the forefront. Many people say this smells to them like Versace Signature or even Chanel's Allure Homme Sport, and I totally agree. It's somewhere in the middle of those. And so really great fragrance, and like the other Missoni fragrances are, it's at a really great price. All right, next up, this one is one of my favorite summer fragrances. You can wear it all year round, but I love it in the summer, even in the spring when it starts to warm up. It's just an explosion of citrus goodness with a little bit of sweetness in there and a lot of interesting notes. This one is actually inspired by a Mancera fragrance, Cedrat Boisé. This one is Paris Corner's Emir Cedrat Essence. And so this one is citrus and black currant is what you're going to get in the opening. So citrus plus that black currant fruitiness, but you've also got in this fragrance a little bit of leather. You've got some woods. You've got a touch of vanilla. So there's a little bit of a heavier woody base that blend with that sweet fruitiness in the opening. This stuff is golden. There's a reason that the one that this is inspired by is the most popular fragrance of that house. Again, Paris Corner's Cedrat Essence. Highly recommend this stuff. All right, next, this one is very similar to a discontinued Bulgari fragrance, Bulgari Aqua Amara. This is Paris Corner's kind of twist on that DNA. This is called Pandora Amarist. And this is basically an orange fragrance with a good dose of a sea note, like the smell of the air by the seashore. There's a little bit of a seaweed vibe. There's a little bit of that salty air, kind of fresh ocean, a very oceanic vibe. And then you've got, again, that orange. It's not too sweet, but a little bit of sweetness. And so whenever those two come together, you get something that makes sense to me why the original fragrance was called Aqua Amara, which means bitter waters. There's a little bit of that bitter seashore kind of a vibe mixing with some aquatic sea notes and some orange. Again, Pandora Amarist. All right, this next one. This one is so unique, and I wish that it was more readily available, but when you can find it, this is one of Armoff's brands called Just Jack, and it is very similar to Tom Ford's Mandarino di Amalfi. This one is called Almoff Coast by Just Jack. And so this one is basically, it's not too dissimilar from John Varvatos Artisan Pure that I showed you earlier, but this one's got a good, more of a sweetness to it. It's got a little bit more of an aquatic touch. It's got a little bit more of a sweetness, but that same kind of citrus in the opening, with some very interesting aromatics and even a particular green heart. And so if you like Artisan Pure, but you want something with a little more sweetness and even a little bit of an aquatic vibe, this one right here, Almoff Coast by Just Jack, you will not be disappointed. And finally, number 10. This one is the ultra cheapie of the video. This one is very similar to a Dolce & Gabbana fragrance called Light Blue, which I'm sure most of you will be familiar with. And that fragrance itself you can pick up for 40 bucks from discounters. But this one you can get for about $8 or $9 on Amazon. This one is by Parfum's Belcam, and it's just called Shades of Blue. And it is basically citrus with a little bit of sweetness and some muskiness and a little bit of woodiness in the dry down. It's just a very kind of light, refreshing, bright fragrance. This is the perfect thing to throw in the gym bag or put in the trunk of your car where it's not in the direct sunlight, but you just want to have something with you. This is the kind of fragrance for $8 or $9 that you can, take anywhere, and you don't have to worry about losing it or breaking it. And it's very refreshing. And there's a reason that this type of DNA has become so popular and has really inspired so many fragrances in this genre. Citrus, aquatic, musky, woody goodness, Shades of Blue by Parfum's Belcam. So this has been 10. You may have noticed as I'm talking through this language of how do I describe fragrances that are similar to something else. Many of you have commented, and I've been seeing it as well, that some of the big fragrance houses are going after content creators for using certain words when describing a fragrance that's inspired by another. A lot of people are getting videos taken down. They're getting Instagram pages deleted. And so I don't know where all this is headed, but I'm going to try to, if I can, adjust the way that I describe a fragrance, maybe a Middle Eastern fragrance, that smells a lot like a much more expensive fragrance. I'm going to talk about them as being, inspired by or very similar to, and it seems like that's an adjustment that's going to need to be made by content creators. So bear with me and the rest of us as we figure this out. Again, I am Justin. This is Sillage Scents. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to subscribe if you haven't. Tell me down below what you would add to this list of your favorite summer citrus fragrances, and I hope you give the video a like. I'll see you on the next one.